Mr. Ratcliffe.
Secretary Kelly, great to see you again. Thank you for your service. I hope you've had a good first 6 months. As I told you 6 months ago, I don't envy you because I view the job that you have as among the most difficult and the most important in our federal government. Traditionally, providing for the common defense meant securing the sovereignty and integrity of our territorial borders, but increasingly, of course, as great a threat as there is to our physical borders, we have those to our digital borders now, and I know that's a part of your charge and part of your challenge, and why I view your job is so critical, and our role here in Congress as being critical as well in making sure you've got the tools that you need to fight those challenges efficiently and effectively. As the chairman of the cybersecurity subcommittee, I want to focus on my limited time on a couple of the budget-related questions as it pertains to cybersecurity. The budget request from the administration includes an increase for the CDM program, the Continuing Diagnostics and Mitigation Program, but a decrease of almost $35 million for the Einstein program for fiscal year 2018 to align operations and maintenance funding with the planned acquisition profile. So can you give me some sense of the reasons for the increase on the one hand and the decrease on the other?
I'd first start out by saying, you say 6 months, it's been 129 days. It seems like 6 years. On the reduction, and I can get back with a more detailed answer. My understanding is with Einstein, as we continue to develop it, we will need more money in the future. But in the meantime, right now, I believe it's because we can't spend that money right now. I may be wrong, but I'll get back to you, Congressman. Okay.
Well, one of the other challenges that you and I have agreed that we've identified does relate to the cyber workforce, and we've got it as sort of a macro issue in this country, but also specifically within the Department of Homeland Security. And so does the FY18 request include funding or enough funding from your perspective for new accepted service salaries and incentives to bring on the type of cybersecurity talent we need at the Department of Homeland Security?
I think we're good right now, but as this field expands, obviously the government pays a certain amount of money, and the private sector pays most often a lot more. And so, how do you keep them? It's kind of what the same kind of problem the services are going through the military. There are certain people that want to serve their country. It's pure. It's from the heart. They don't worry about the money as long as they're not going to go completely broke. But then there are other people, and I'm not criticizing, get drawn away from the military, as an example, or federal government, and go off into make very, very lucrative amounts of money in the private sector. The military solves this problem oftentimes with, and it just doesn't apply to cyber warriors. It could be pilots, whatever, with paying bonuses. I don't think we're there right now. But those are the kind of things in future. If we're going to have a viable cyber force, which we need to, without question, we may have to, well, we will always have to pay for it, and we may have to find innovative ways to pay for it in the future, because it's the demand for these kind of professionals is exponentially increasing, and we're going to have to find ways to make sure we have the best sitting in federal jobs working with industry.
Terrific. Thank you. One of the challenges that we face is not just at the federal level, but at the state and local level with respect to the cybersecurity issues that are out there. And I don't know, Secretary, whether you've had a chance to take inventory of all the assets that you have, and whether or not you've had a chance to go down to the National Computer Forensics Institute in Hoover, Alabama, or what that facility specifically does. I was fortunate a few weeks ago, we moved legislation here through the House that would authorize the NCFI into law, and it's a facility that's run by the Secret Service for the purpose of training state and local law enforcement, from detectives and investigators to prosecutors to judges in handling digital evidence so that we can prosecute cybercrime, which according to some reports has become more profitable than drug trafficking. So I don't want to put you on the spot, and I'm not asking for a commitment, but I would ask that I do expect that that'll move through the Senate as well, and to the extent that President Trump asks for your opinion with regard to that, I would appreciate it if your team could get you briefed on those issues, because I think it's vitally, critically important that that we support our state and locals with respect to these cyber challenges as well, and law enforcement plays a huge part of that.
Congressman, I'll do that, and I should mention, and you did, the tremendous work the Secret Service does. Most people have no idea that as part of their responsibility, they're very deep into cyber in terms of commercial violations and crimes. They're very, very good at what they do, and they're part of this huge collaborative effort throughout the federal government and the private sector to protect the nets. So thank you for mentioning the Secret Service. They are a multifaceted organization, and good men and women all.
Well, thank you, and again, I thank you for your service, but I also appreciate, I will tell you, Secretary, that you are already inspiring confidence with respect to how you've approached the task at hand, the very difficult, unenviable task and challenge that you have. But I do want you to know that we all appreciate the way that you've really rolled into this in the first 129 days. And with that, I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks. Thank you.
Gentleman yields back.